This is Autohaus Z. We're back here at CM Autohaus, and this is a wheel bearing adjustment video. So the reason we're making this video, I see a lot of misinformation about adjusting front wheel bearings. The biggest thing I see is torque to spec. Do not torque these wheel bearings to spec. These are tapered wheel bearings, which means there's a certain amount of preload that these bearings need, and you do not torque these to spec. We're at this point, your wheel bearings are packed, this is assembled. What do we do from here? The first thing you do is you break out your service manual. Alright, so this is page FA8 of the service manual. When the service manual says torque to 21 foot-pounds, that's not the final torque. What you're doing is seating the tapered wheel bearings. So we'll do that right now. Alright, so we have our 22mm socket. I have my torque wrench set to 21 foot-pounds. We're going to torque this and turn the hub at the same time. Oh, it stops turning, but that's fine. As long as, so the hub's stopped, so the bearings are probably seated. But since we turned it, we know the bearings are seated evenly. So we'll do the 21 foot-pounds. Then loosen adjusting nut until it can be turned by hand. So I have my 22mm wrench. It's probably just like a quarter turn, and I can feel that guy loosen up, and we can turn this by hand. I like to really make sure the bearing's seated, so why don't we do that procedure one more time. So now I'm completely confident that our bearings are evenly seated. Back it off again. Make sure this thing turns freely. So the next step in the service manual, tighten adjusting nut until the preload is within standard. So we see our preload spec here, and we see the tool we need to use right there. This is called a spring scale. To really do this, you need a spring scale. So how do I get to this preload spec? Alright, so I'll show you how I do it. So this is like an old school method that I learned from a bunch of old timers. And this will get you close to the preload spec. So what you do, you turn this, and you slowly turn the adjusting nut until this guy stops. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it stops right there. I'll turn this a couple times just to get the bearing seated. This feels pretty close. I usually do like 3 of these a week, so I mean, just by muscle memory, this feels pretty close. So we'll grab our spring scale. It's easy enough to go to 10 Newton meters, so I'll just do that. Alright, so we'll put our spring scale. I'll put my I'll put it at 12 o'clock, and I will pull on this guy. Oh, and you saw this thing move, and I'll do it again. So that's about 11. So that's about 11 Newton meters. I'm okay with that. These will only get looser with time, so I'm okay with 11 Newton meters. Again, the biggest takeaway is that there's a preload on these bearings that requires a spring scale to measure the preload. You do not torque the front wheel bearings to spec. Alright, so that's our wheel bearing adjustment video. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment, check out cmautohaus.com, buy some stickers, and you can also support us on Patreon at CM Autohaus. Thanks for watching, you guys. We will pause because we need to re-record that. It's 24. Alright, so I'll show you how I do it. Oh. Let's film that again.